High school teachers of Reddit, what is the one thing that you want your students to know that you'd never tell them in person? If you're jacking off in class, we can tell. One day you're going to come across people who are not being paid to tolerate you, and all of a sudden life is going to become considerably more difficult. I knew you were cheating, so I gave you a test with the answers in a different order for the rest of the semester. You clearly weren't very bright to figure it out. And yes, I am that spiteful. It was easier than reporting the cheating. When you think you are being genius by getting me to talk about random things at the beginning of class instead of teaching, I'm really allowing it to happen. BC, I don't have enough plan to cover a full class. You know what, Jono? You're a little cunt. Gold, twice. Thanks guys. I encourage my worst kids as much or more than my favorites because I don't want them back in my class next year. I don't care that you came to class stoned. Just stop interrupting class. And for God's sake, don't touch any power tools while you're stoned. The weed smell doesn't magically disappear between the parking lot and my classroom. If I didn't think you would abuse the situation, I would really enjoy being more human and casual around you. I think you are a fun person to be around. Please stop dueling in the classrooms, that's what the bathrooms are for. Yes, I do have favorite students. No, I won't tell you who they are because that would discourage you. But yes, they're probably who you imagine them to be. I can definitely hear the horrible things you are saying. Yes, I see that you are on the other side of the room. I may be old to you, but I am certainly not deaf. Also, that teenage boy is definitely going to buy you a Big Mac in exchange for oral 6. 100 out 100 times. My gamertag. I usually say there's a policy against it, but there isn't. I just don't want to play Overwatch or whatever with a bunch of relatively good kids who turn into total monsters when they play video games. If I tell the cool ones, it'll get around. I'm a bus driver. Sit the duck down, you will die if I crash. A lot of us probably drink, smoke, sleep around, etc. more than you do, and hearing you talking about it and trying to hide it as if it's something we wouldn't know about is richly ironic. You're unique. You're not special. Set your goals high, but understand that if you change your goals to needs, you'll have a lifetime of disappointment. A few off the top of my head. Just because I like you as a person doesn't mean that I won't fail you. Being smart isn't a justification for being lazy, and I can't pass someone that never hands in work. I moved you away from your friends because they were taking you down with them. You have a real future in sports, but you need to pass my class to play them. Your friends were making you fail, and if you don't get to play volleyball, I don't know what kind of future you have in front of you. I wish that the positivity that you get in my class could follow you home. I've met your parents and they are a nightmare. I do my best to encourage you here, but I know that some days that just might not be enough. I have never and will never find a student intimidating. That's why I laughed at you when you asked me if I knew who your father was. Yeah, he's the manager of a car dealership. That means nothing to nobody. I had a kid throw a desk at me, and while it scared me in the moment, it didn't make me fear him. One day, you will meet someone who has real power, and I just wish that I could be there to see it. If your parents email a teacher and argue with them, the whole staff knows, at least at my school. I hate the texts as much as you do, but everyone just shrugs when I suggest changing them up. I'm sorry they made us keep that awful after book on the list. I genuinely offered to buy them all back from students so I could burn the waste of time that they are. That my students are the reason why I am second guessing having my own kids. I can see who you have a crush on in the classroom. I taught after school care summer school for a year, and I want so badly to tell them that now is a great time to find out who they are and to stop parroting what they hear other people say. 2. Stop trying so hard to make Jamie like you and be your friend, because even though you and Jamie have been friends since pre-K, people growing apart is normal, and Jamie is a manipulative McMuffin. 3. I kept Owen and other troublemakers close to me in class because giving them just a little positive attention was infinitely preferable to giving them all of my attention in a negative light. Plus, maybe they just needed someone to listen and give them one-on-one, which I'm happy to do. 4. It's useless saying it because it's not going to make a difference. But this week's crisis won't matter next year or maybe even next week, and it certainly won't matter on your deathbed. One of the most valuable lessons I can teach you is to fake looking busy. If we're supposed to be working on an assignment or reading or whatever, and you see me coming your way, at the least have a piece of paper on your desk and a pen in your hand and submit on your paper, and then I won't bother you. If you have nothing going on and can't even be bothered to make it look like you're trying, I'm heading your way. This lesson will be invaluable with eventual bosses someday. Your sense of entitlement is most likely acquired from your upbringing. So parent-teacher conferences to discuss your grades aren't going to do it when the parents just blame us, despite you putting in little to zero effort. If I know your name by the third day of a new school year, that means you're probably an asshole. I don't know if there's an exact quote I'd use, but I wish I could let my students know how dumb they look sometimes, and how they need to relax and stop taking themselves so seriously. I also frequently find myself wishing I could rag on kids' clothes hairstyles that they've obviously put way too much time money into, but these thoughts only cross my mind when they're being assholes. That's the unprofessional petty stuff I'd say. I could think of something much more wise. But it's my lunch break and Friday and my brain is fried from trying to keep these assholes together a week before finals. The odds of you using any specific piece of knowledge you learn in high school is slim. The odds of you using some piece of knowledge from high school is near absolute, and you have no idea what it's going to be or when it will happen. So you may as well try at all of it. The biggest thing you're going to learn is how to learn. I love these posts because the comments are generally well formatted. Thanks, teachers. Sort of late to this party, but I often want to tell my students to enjoy themselves more and worry less. And I guess I do tell them that pretty often. But what I really wish I could communicate is that it's perfectly natural to break the rules and be a little more reckless at their age. This would be pretty irresponsible of me to tell them, as kids need their teachers to be role models of good impulses, not bad impulses. But sometimes I want to. Kids today seem very frightened of the future and don't want to take chances, especially when it comes to having fun. I don't blame them based on the environments they are raised in. Also, if they have an A+ in my class, they can make a low F on the final and still wind up with an A. I'd let you get away with so much more if you were actually a decent person who treated others with kindness and respect. Assholes rarely get the benefit of doubt or indifference. I teach middle school, not high school, but for me, it's that I know it sucks at home. I see it every day when you come into my class. I see the tears you're hiding, the pain behind that class clown smile, the emotional fragility behind your tough guy persona. I know exactly what it's like to come from a broken home. I wish I could do something, but until you come to me, all I can do is try and let you know, with a look, a smile, a subtle turn of phrase, that I'm always there for you when you need an ear, or a shoulder. I am no longer a teacher, but I remember several days that I felt lazy and wanted to give the class the day off. I never did because I knew the teacher's pet would rat me out. Sometimes even the teachers don't like the teacher's pet. One of the most memorable things a teacher said to me, I'm really glad she did say it to my face. I really like you as a person, but I hate you as a student. My French teacher told me this when I was in high school, during this period where I was really depressed and on the verge of flunking out. Having her be so honest with me and pointing out that I was wasting my potential made me want to do better, and eventually I did. I'd tell my kids that their stupid decision to stay out on the weekdays and not do any work will probably lead to them doing the same thing their parents do and living the same life. All my kids are incredibly low income. Also, their forced helplessness is not their fault, but I wish I could tell them to recognize it and do something about it. Lastly, please, for the love of God, do the ducking reading. It's not hard. I specifically edited it to not be hard. And no, you are not interesting enough to be a famous YouTube blogger. Go to college. You are right. The administration is completely out of touch when it comes to technology. I also work better while listening to music on my phone. I teach special needs 11-14-year-olds, and I tell them that growing up is going to be hard for them and not everyone is going to be as understanding or patient as the staff at our school, and they need to learn to reel it in sometimes. I'd also tell them how precious and wonderful they are. even when they drive me mad asking the same question over and over. They might not have the same advantages as other children, but their gifts are just as legitimate as any other child's. Some of them might not know how to flush a toilet, but they sure can draw a perfect replica of the Death Star. Some can't remember their own birthday, but they smile every morning and say how happy they are to see us, and it's just lovely. I love my job. Edit. Oh my goodness, thank you for the gold. I had a really bad day today, not because of the kids, they're lush, and this has made my day. Yes, we have a new seating chart, and yes, I sat you next to her because I can tell you have a crush on her. I noticed you try harder on your work when she is around, and to be honest, you two would make a cute couple. Till all my teachers totally knew I was high all the time. Your parents are literally the worst part of my job. Yelling duck in the hallways doesn't make you a badass. Teachers are yelling duck in their heads all day long. I teach middle school in Taiwan. My students are 60% ESL, 30% intermediate English proficiency, and 10% native fluency. Only have 42 students, so this number is pretty on the money. I want to tell them this: I'm not an idiot. When you are ridiculing me in Chinese, I've picked up phrases and know which ones you're using. Don't act surprised when I give you detention for calling me Benden, Dumbos, or Beichi, idiot. I know what you're saying, ugh. Benden. I would like my students to know how stupid they are. Ask them what 3 times 3 was, and they said 21. Lol guys, I'm not a real teacher, and yes, I know what the 21 meme is. I want so badly to talk to you all about 6. I will sneak it in wherever I can. I would happily spend my own money to buy all 120 of you condoms. I pretend to like you and I pretend to care about your fads and interests, but I'm mostly never going to see you again when you leave. Keeping a healthy detachment at all times is important to maintaining mental health. Stop wearing your furry tail. Everyone is uncomfortable. That is a male teacher. I can't be the best teacher I want to be. I won't be able to have a private conversation with my students, but I'll always ask to keep the door open or have another student in hearing distance. I want to give you a hug and say I'm sorry after you've told me about something terrible that has happened with your home life, but you'll have to settle for me just talking to you. I feel terrible having to ignore your PMs or texts when you ask me important questions, or, let's be honest, send me really funny memes. Because I am a man, I'm terrified of something getting misunderstood and being fired from my job, and then on top of that, being branded as something horrible for the rest of my life as a result, and so I'll always be closed off from my students. I don't care if you get high, either take some edibles so we don't smell it, and don't do it when you're in the actual building, and don't do too much so it's obvious due to how incompetent you're acting. I get it. You have anxiety. I wish you had a better coping mechanism instead of weed, but I'm glad you're doing something rather than avoiding school. etc. Just please don't give me a reason to send you to the nurse and or dean. Learn some practical skills. We all have to at some point. We can smell the weed. Seriously, at least wait until after school. This would probably get more answers at a different time, when American teachers aren't busy teaching. I used to teach English to high schoolers in France. Most of my students were really good. A few of them I would have really liked to say to their faces that they were little its and need to work on not being such douchebags. Edit. Also, I know Europeans are a bit different with this than Americans, but get real deodorant and wear it every day. Putin. You'll die. Everyone you have ever loved will die, and then the sun will explode and destroy this planet. So there is no use worrying too much about whether you know the capital of New Hampshire. You're not going to be YouTube famous. Sit the duck down and listen. I actually teach middle school rather than high school, but I'll play. I love them a whole bunch. I do actually tell them this. That's not the thing, but goddamn every single middle schooler is an asshole. Like, even the best ones. They're all assholes. You can't help it at that age. Part of the process of being a good middle school teacher is accepting the assholishness and figuring out ways to work with it. Don't worry, guys. Your peers, and you, will stop being assholes soon. Most of you, anyway. Also, all the things you think your parents and teachers don't know about, we do. We've done it all. We just would prefer not to think about you doing it because you're much too young. Edit. Suya. You weren't an asshole when you were in middle school. You're the exception. Congratulations. You special person. You win the trophy. I've taught more than 700 kids in my career, but I didn't teach you, so I don't know. Not a teacher but an evening janitor. Part of my area is where the robotics club gathers and works. You guys are so amazing. I wish you could see what I see. A group of kids who are well mixed in ethnicity and gender working hard together. I never see signs of drama when I walk by. When I look through the windows I can see that you guys are listening to each other and treating each other seriously, while also having fun. When you guys leave at night, your room is my favorite room to clean. It's always so clean already and I get to look at your projects and see what all that elbow grease is doing. It's so encouraging to know that these kids are part of our future. They stay an average of 2 hours after school every day and you can tell it's not forced. They are so enthusiastic that their energy practically shines into the hallway. I celebrate every time a new award is added to the trophy cabinet in the hall. You don't need anything I teach you to be successful in life. Math is about learning to think, not graphing functions and solving equations. Hello, people assuming I don't know where the math I teach is used. I promise I do. The point I'm making is that we don't care if the general population can solve polynomial equations. We care that they learn to think. To my freshmen. Yes, I always know when you didn't do my math because you stayed up late playing Fortnite. You added me as a friend on Epic so I see that. Also the amount of homework not done in lower grades when new battle passes come out is so coincidental. To a specific freshman. I support your desire to become a streamer, but editing videos should not keep you away from your homework for a whole week and your friends always rat you out when you stay home skip to make edit those videos. To all high schoolers I teach, you're dumb. But I do love you guys. I'm not stupid and while I know you cheat on your homework, I don't care since it's only worth 10% of your grade and you're foregoing the practice you can get before the test. To the 6th graders I teach math to. Dear Lord you make me cringe so hard I have to take ibuprofen some days. I have so much more. But my lunch break is almost over. Full stop. I think what you learn in the other classes is mostly useless rubbish. The things you're supposed to do to learn it is boring and ineffective. And the way our schools are organized is archaic and not fit for humans. Much less kids. You can be unsuccessful at school but successful in life. I pretend that it is important for you to do well in my subject, but in reality you'll most probably find your niche in life and be reasonably content or hopefully extremely happy. You might hate maths, English, science, but turn out to be the most amazing parent, artist, carpenter or even a mathematician, playwright or researcher. You might get the lowest scores in class and end up being the most successful of your peers. I feign annoyance, anger, disappointment. I reluctantly phone your parents, give you detentions, or write up critical reports. I have to. It's my job. If you do well in my subject then that's great. But if you don't then just relax. We can't all be good at everything. Oh. And do you think you hate exams, tests and homework? Your mild dislike of the work is a mere candle flame compared to the hatred that burns like a million suns. That I feel when I have to ducking mark it. Look, obviously I am on Reddit all day too or I wouldn't be posting here. But for the love of God can you please pretend to be working so I can go back to being disappointed by reposts. Right now my students are up in our mobile. Class was supposed to start at noon. My co-teachers and I are down in the classroom. They're thinking if no one goes down there to get them, we won't have to do any work. We're thinking let's see if anyone comes down here to grab us. Social experiment. If not, we don't have to do anything. The events that happen when the day should have been a snow day. Trying hard is necessary but not sufficient for most accomplishments. Intelligence is necessary but not sufficient for most accomplishments. I can't tell the sweet, hard-working but unintelligent kid he won't be a doctor. I can't tell the smart but lazy asshole he won't be a doctor. Both end up in my remedial class and blame being in remedial class on mean teachers labeling them. I appreciate childhood is the time for dreams but it means people make terrible decisions when they don't understand that we just put them at the highest level we think they can pass. We don't know why they are years behind their peers. just that they are. I try to see potential and inspire kids to try their best. I really do. But there's not a lot I can do if someone is dedicated to hiding their low intelligence by trying to appear as a lazy asshole instead, or trying to hide their higher intelligence by pretending to be unintelligent to get easier work. I would honestly tell my little kindergartners that life is tough. I love you. Many of you can't count on your parents at all. You're poor and have to work harder. I need you to understand how important your education is for having a better life. But I'm a male teacher in early childhood. Distance is very important, and can't afford to have a parent go all mama bear on me, so I just do my best to make them feel valued in my class. I just wanna say that I love all of you wonderful, underappreciated and underpaid teachers. Teachers got me through some of the worst times of my childhood and adolescence. Copyright airing. Except for you. MRS. Hanson. Duck you. Edit. It's been almost a month and I still appreciate people using this comment as a place to go off on the itty teachers they've had. Teachers are amazing. Keep hitting on the ones who don't deserve to be grouped in with the awesome majority. Allah. Was an art teacher. So broke and underpaid. My roommate was also another teacher. I really wanted to tell the ones that wanted to go to an arts university how low paying the job market is. Like the salaries are below minimum wage low. Free internships rampant. The art world is a rich kid's game, y'all. You're right. You won't have to know most of this stuff as you grow up. But most of you will have to sit in a room with a bunch of peers and listen to someone drone on. Then do what they tell you if you want to make a living. If you can't sit through it now, you're going to have a much harder time as an adult. I'm reading this sitting at a desk, watching the clock tick to 3 PM at my grown-up job. I just now realized that what high school taught me the most is to sit at a desk patiently until an appointed time. Duck. HS band director here. I know you didn't touch your horn over the weekend. If you did, you wouldn't sound like rotten cat asshole. The reason you ride on boy buses and girl buses is because I don't want band parents in my band. I was in high school before you and I know exactly what happens on bus rides. In my 11-year career, the only names that I truly remember are the insanely talented kids and the students who were completely inept. Lastly, this job is so intensely stressful I think I might be taking years off my life. But if I loosen up my standards, your band experience will be unmemorable. I'm really sorry. Your parents put you in this elite private school because they think they can protect you from all the evils of the outside world, including responsibility. You aren't getting any of the skills you will need to function as an adult. I'm doing the best I can, but my hands are tied by the school. The only things I don't talk to my students about is relationships. I am a history teacher, and I tell them that Game of Thrones horrors were very real in history, except the magic and dragons. I'm honest with them about the death and abuse and tragedies. But this one girl was talking about how a friend as a joke told a guy that she liked the guy, and the guy was being really nice to her, and she had no idea how to tell him she wasn't interested, and all her friends gave her the worst ideas, like just hide from him, or pay a guy to act like her boyfriend. I wanted to tell her just be a woman and tell him directly, rip the band-aid off, but I have to keep a huge distance from that type of stuff. Or another time, watching this boy clearly friend-zoned, support this girl whose boyfriend broke up with her. He was really crushing on her, and she was very platonic with him. And it was obvious because teenagers don't realize how obvious they are. I wanted to tell him something, but didn't, and wouldn't.